Hello, I'm drawing James Gandolfini this week with the group on Facebook. I'm drawing him playing the role in that series called The Sopranos. So this is him being Mr. Soprano. I'm starting off with a few small sketches. These are, I don't know, 3 inches high by 2 inches wide, but these are real small sketches on an 11 by 14 scratch paper that I use. It just saves a lot of space, and I think I said before, it just allows me to exaggerate a little bit more than what I would normally do on a full page. It also saves paper, but I'm just kind of testing the features out. One of the main features that stood out to me when I saw the guy, when I looked at his pictures and video, was his smile. It was much different than the normal person, so that's what I kind of look at. So I kind of compare him to the average person, and that's what kind of stood out. So other artists have different things that stand out to them. That's what kind of stood out to me. So I kind of wrap the caricature, or I kind of center everything around that one thing, which is his smile. And everything else, I still try to exaggerate as much as possible and still keep a likeness. But what I'm doing is I'm testing out different ways to positioning his smile so that I don't lose any of the likeness. Right now he's looking like different types of animals or something, like a rhino. I kind of envisioned him before I drew him as a hippopotamus. I think I'll try that later. I saw a picture of him on Google as Shrek. I think he makes a cool Shrek too. Um, I'm just kind of doing a lot of different sketches. I did, I think, one, two, three. There's 5 right there. I might have done 6 or 7. I'll still be sketching. I don't think that's the last one. But I'm just kind of doing a bunch of sketches. I do them real small. And then I actually, once I find the small sketch that I guess I'm satisfied with or pleased with, I'll take that, and what I'm going to do is try something a little different. Um, I normally just kind of trace it, or I draw it really big, and then I do all the shadows and everything, and the different layers with the pencil. And then I trace that onto a larger, or onto another sheet, like a canvas or a watercolor paper or something. But I'm going to go directly from the small sketch and transfer it onto a larger watercolor paper. And then I'm going to add a bunch of the shadows and things like that onto the watercolor paper, and then watercolor over the pencil, over on top of the shadows and all on top of all the other stuff. And I think that's how Jim Maestro. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, but Meister. But I think that's how he does it. I think he might use ballpoint pen a little bit, but he kind of does all his sketching basically on watercolor paper or illustration board, it seems, and then he watercolors on top of that. So, anyways, I'm just kind of I'm doing a lot of the freehand, little small sketches, as you can see there. He has like a watermelon shape head, and you can go either way. You could either exaggerate the top and then shrink the bottom, or exaggerate the bottom and shrink the top. So it's kind of like, I think Tom Richmond in his book, he mentioned it's like a balloon. If you squeeze the bottom, if you have let's say a balloon filled with air or water, and you squeeze the bottom part of the balloon, the top part is going to expand. So it's kind of like you're just kind of moving mass around. So if you squeeze the top part of the balloon, the bottom part is going to expand. You can't expand both parts, or you can't squeeze both sides of the balloon without it popping. Or you can't exaggerate everything. So if you exaggerate the top part of the head, well, the bottom part has to go down a little bit. You have to make it smaller from what he teaches. And that actually helps the exaggeration. So like if you want to exaggerate the forehead, by shrinking the jaw and the chin and the lower part of the head, you basically are exaggerating the top part. It brings it out. So what I did is I squeezed the top part, and the bottom part of this watermelon shaped head kind of exploded, or kind of expounded. It was kind of I exaggerated a little bit bigger. Um, it got larger. So and I tried to bring his top lip um, further back, or I tried to sink it down inside of his mouth. When I saw a few of his videos, I had a hard time with YouTube, but I went on to Vimeo, and there was and on Vimeo there was like a 10-minute clip, I think, and I was able to watch that one. I kept replaying it over and over, and when I saw how he talked and everything, his bottom lip went up forward. It went first before his front lip, or when he spoke, his top lip, it kind of sunk back. And he had this weird smirk. Even when he talked, he had this weird kind of smirk. So I tried to capture that. I tried to bring his lip out forward, and his nose was really big, so I had to bring that on top of that. So it's kind of like a layer. So you have first the top lip, and then you have the bottom lip going in front of that, and then you have the nose, which is really large. I had that on top or coming above that one. And then of course you have the chin that's way up in front. So I don't know if that helps any, but the ear, his ear was kind of long and flat. They weren't really sticking out. So I tried to make it even with the side of the head and his hair a little bit. So as you can see right there, I'm trying to test out different ways to making his hair. Almost every picture, he was almost bald, but almost every picture you could still see both sides of his hair. I couldn't get around that, so I tried to incorporate I tried to incorporate both sides of his head to have hair in some way or form. So I'm about to watercolor. As you can see now on the screen, I've already transferred it onto the watercolor paper now, and I'm gonna keep that small sketch. I cut it out, and I keep it near me. I keep it as I'm watercoloring. Even I guess if I'm painting something else, I'll still keep some type of sketch around me to kind of help with where the shadows go. So I just kind of kept that near me. It also helps too to if you're doing watercoloring or something. It helps with the testing of the colors. You can paint all over that small miniature caricature, and just to kind of see how the caricatures flow or how they look with each other, because the blue or the pinks might not work together or whatnot. So you can kind of test it on that small scale caricature. You can test it out. You can test even the backgrounds. So if you're thinking a brown or a purple background or some type of color, you can test it on there and see if it works. So that way you're not messing up your finished caricature. You can test the backgrounds on that small miniature one. So I'm drawing him with the wardrobe, the bathrobe. So I had a hard time making that look like it, but I tried. He also had a bunch of chest hair coming out, and he had that necklace, so I incorporated that a little bit. But I wrote down some things to mention here. Let me see. Oh yeah, finding the right video. That's pretty important. Finding the right video. Now after seeing a lot of the other caricature artists, and especially Nate, I think he always tries to find a video, even when he's doing a custom drawing. I think that he asks to see if they have any videos of themselves on YouTube or something. But I find that very helpful, and I didn't think it was in the past, but now I do, because the pictures are kind of still, and a lot of pictures, even of myself or yourself, if you think about it, some pictures they don't really portray the real you. But in video form, you can actually see all that is to the person. You can see the way they express themselves, the way the head moves when they speak, the different gestures they do, and if they do a certain gesture or a certain expression all the time, even when they talk, then that's the expression you want to draw them in. And you can't tell that in a dead still picture. You only find that out in a video. So if he's more likely to do a lot of smiling or a lot of weird gestures, you can find that out in a video. So I always try to find a video, and finding the right one, at least a really long one. That way you don't have to keep pressing replay. So I had to do that every 10 minutes. I kept pushing replay. So finding a right video, a good video is really important. And I chose one apparently from his movie. I think that's his most familiar. That's who most people recognize him from. Okay, here I am again. I keep pushing that X on that box. I'll stop doing that. So what was I saying? A lot of people remember him in The Sopranos. So I try to draw the people that I'm drawing and what most people remember them in. If they're an actress, I try to find the most popular movie that made them popular, or what most people remember them in. So this one, of course, would be the Soprano one. So I drew him in the bathrobe as he was talking to, I think it was his girlfriend's, his daughter's girlfriend or something. I had it on mute, so I wasn't sure what he was saying. But I was able to see him moving around, so finding the right video is important. If you sketch small, by the way, if you try to sketch on a small scale before you do any large sketching or anything, make sure you always keep that around, because if you try to change some things, you can always revert back to the original sketch that might have looked better. For example, I was trying to change the nose on the watercolor paper, so I think about this. I enlarged it on the watercolor paper, and my reference picture was that small one, that small caricature. And as I was sketching the nose, I had a bright idea of changing the nose, and so there I was changing the nose, changing how it looked, and it just didn't fit right. It didn't look good. It looked like the reference picture, but it didn't feel like the guy's nose. So I was trying to figure out what the problem was, and I went back to the small picture. I was like, oh, that looks like or feels like his nose. So I went back and I just drew what I had drawn originally. The original nose that I drew, that was fresh, that was in light of what I was viewing on the video, what I felt. So I had that spontaneous action in the nose when I first drew it. So I referred back to that small nose. But sometimes when I try to change things as I'm redrawing it or tracing it, it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, you can always go back to that smaller scale drawing. Let me see. Also, I wanted to mention, I took note here, to take a break. I like to take a break, and I'm almost forced to take a break because my cell phone, it only allows me to record every hour. So it's a good thing. I'm almost forced to take a break because it has to upload. I run out of space, so I have to upload it on my computer, then delete it off my phone to record again. So if you're not recording, take a break. Purposely time yourself if it helps. If you're motivated, keep drawing. I mean, just keep drawing. But if you think taking a break is important for you, I'd say it helps. Then time yourself. And when timer goes off, go outside, take a walk, go eat, do something. But taking a break is important. There was an artist, it might have been Gene Mark or someone, maybe Bruno or someone. But they say when you take a break and you come back, it's like you have fresh eyes. So you might see the person in a different light. You might look at your caricature and go, oh man, I messed up on that, or I could change that to make it better. And I think we've all had that after we even post our pictures online. Sometimes I post it and I'm like, I look back at it and I'm like, wow, I could change that. But take a break. Don't be so quick to upload it or be so quick to finish it at one sitting or one sitting. Try to take a break. Go do something. You come back and look at your drawing, and take a break to look at other artists. Look at the other ones that have posted. That helps me a lot too. So looking at their works, being inspired, taking a break to do that, and then coming back and finishing up what you've sketched or what you've done. I'm trying out a lot of, as you can see in the video, I'm trying out different ways of doing this brown background. I have a hard time doing backgrounds. Maybe I know for sure I need to do a lot more studying and practicing on that. So anyways, we'll see you next week, and the link to the contest will be in the video description.